November 30th, 2014, from Heinz Field in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. It was the New Orleans Saints at the Pittsburgh Steelers. New Orleans won the toss and they elected to defer. So the Steelers would get the ball first. They'd start off on their own 20. They would make it across midfield and into New Orleans territory, but their drive would stall after 7 plays on the New Orleans 42, as they would end up punting the ball to the Saints. So now the Saints would take over with less than 12 minutes left in the first. They had it on their own 14, but after 4 plays, they would punt the ball from their 27 to the Steelers. So now the Steelers took over with less than 10 minutes left in the first. They had it on their own 35. And on 2nd and 7 from the 38, Le'Veon Bell ran for 12 yards for the first down at the 50. Le'Veon Bell then ran for 18 yards to the 32 of the New Orleans Saints for the first down. Then on 3rd and 9, Roethlisberger ended up going to Bell, and it was incomplete. And now out would come Shaun Suisham to attempt a 49-yard field goal. It was up, it was good, and the Steelers put the first points on the scoreboard with the score Pittsburgh 3, New Orleans 0. So now the Saints would get the ball with about 6 minutes left in the first, and they would go 3 and out as they punted the ball to the Steelers. So now the Steelers would take over with about 5 minutes left in the first. They had it on their own 27. And on 3rd and 8 from the 29, Roethlisberger hit Antonio Brown for a 21-yard pass that brought the ball to the 50. Then on 3rd and 5 from the 45, Le'Veon Bell ran for 16 yards, and the first down on the New Orleans 29. And then on 3rd and 3, Roethlisberger went to Moore. He picked up 4 yards and the first down, and that brought the first quarter to a close. So after 1 quarter of play, the score was Pittsburgh 3, New Orleans 0. It's not up and up the second quarter. It was 1st and 10 on the New Orleans 18 for the Steelers. Bell picked up 5. But then a couple of incomplete passes would bring out Suisham to attempt the second field goal of the game. This one from 31 yards out. It was up, it was good. And it was now 6-0 Pittsburgh over New Orleans. So now the Saints would take over with about 14 minutes left before halftime. They had it on their own 20, but after 5 plays, they would punt the ball from the 35. So now the Steelers would get the ball with about 11.5 minutes left before halftime. They had it on their own 26, but they went 3 and out, and they punted it back to the Saints, who now get the ball with less than 10 minutes left in the first half. They had it on their own 21. On 2nd and 9 from the 22, Brees went to Stills. He picked up 10 yards in the first down at the 32. Then on 3rd and 2 from the 40, Pierre Thomas picked up 13 yards in the first down at the Pittsburgh 47. Mark Ingram then ran for 20 yards in the first down at the 27. Ingram then ran for another 12 yards and was now first down in the red zone on the Pittsburgh 15. Drew Brees out of the shotgun then went to Ben Watson. He picked up the touchdown off the 15-yard reception that gave the Saints the lead, with the score now New Orleans 7, Pittsburgh 6, as the Saints got on the scoreboard. So now the Steelers, we get the ball with about 6 minutes left in the second quarter. They had it on their own 43. And on 2nd and 8, Roethlisberger hit Miller for a 13-yard pass in the first down. Now it was at the 42 of New Orleans for the Steelers. Roethlisberger out of the shotgun, and he was intercepted by Vaccaro. And it was now the Saints' ball on their own 20 with about 4.5 minutes left before halftime. On 3rd and 5 from the 25, Drew Brees then went to Toon. He picked up 6 yards in the first down at the New Orleans 31. Then on 3rd and 6 from the 35, Drew Brees went to Stills. He picked up 44 yards in the first down in Pittsburgh territory at the 21, and that brought the game to the 2-minute warning. Mark Ingram then ripped a 9-yard run and then an 8-yard run, and it was now 1st and goal on the 4 for New Orleans. Drew Brees then dropped back, and he hit the fullback Lorig for a 4-yard touchdown pass, and it was now an 8-point lead for the Saints. So they extended it, and it was now New Orleans 14, Pittsburgh 6. So now the Steelers would get the ball with about a half a minute left before halftime, and Roethlisberger went to Miller for a 23-yard reception, and the Steelers called a timeout as they now had it on their own 43. Roethlisberger then on 2nd and 10 from the 43 went to Antonio Brown, and he picked up 21 and a first down on the New Orleans 36. Then after 3 incomplete passes, out would come Suisham to attempt the 54-yard field goal on the final play of the first half. It was up, but it was short, so it was no good. And so going into halftime, the score remained New Orleans 14, Pittsburgh 6. So now to open up the second half, the Saints would get the ball first. They start off on their own 25, but they will go 3 and out on their first possession of the second half. So now the Steelers would get the ball with about 13.5 minutes left in the third. They had it on their own 22. And on 2nd and 8 from the 24, Roethlisberger hit Miller for an 11-yard pass and a first down that brought the ball to the 35. out of the shotgun now. Roethlisberger then went to Wheaton, but he was intercepted by Jordan, and it was now Saints ball on the Pittsburgh 15, and now with about 12 minutes left in the third. Then on 2nd and 6 from the 11, Drew Brees hit Toon for an 11-yard touchdown, and it was now 21-6, New Orleans over Pittsburgh, as they started off in the red zone with that possession, and they turned the interception into 7. So now the Steelers would take over with about 11.5 minutes left in the third. They had it on their own 17, and on 2nd and 7 from the 20, Roethlisberger went to Bell, and he picked up 15 in the first down at the 35. Then on 3rd and 1 from the 44, Le'Veon Bell picked up the first down and a yard to bring it to the 45. And on 2nd and 5 from the 50, Roethlisberger scrambled for the first down and 8 yards to bring it to the 42. Then on 2nd and 10 from the 42, Roethlisberger hit Miller for a 12-yard pass, made a first down on the New Orleans 30. Roethlisberger then went to Le'Veon Bell, and he picked up 13 and a first down in the red zone on the 17-yard line. It was 2nd and 10 from the 17, and Roethlisberger went to Brown. He picked up 16, and it was now 1st and goal on the 1 for the Steelers. And Le'Veon Bell ended up running it in from a yard out, and it was now a touchdown that brought the game back to within 8 with the score: New Orleans 21, Pittsburgh 13. So now the Saints would get the ball with about 4.5 minutes left in the third. They had it on their own 11-yard line. And on 2nd and 11 from the 10, Drew Brees went to Stills, and he picked up 21 yards in the first down at the 31. Then on 3rd and 10 from the 31, out of the shotgun, Drew Brees hit Stills for a 69-yard pass. Is Ike Taylor had come back off the broken arm, and he kind of slipped on the coverage. Stills was wide open. He took it in the end zone, and it was now New Orleans 28, Pittsburgh 13. So now the Steelers would get the ball with less than 2 minutes left in the third quarter. They had it on their own 26. They were faced with 3rd and 9 from the 25. And a false start would end the third quarter. So after 3 quarters of play, the score was New Orleans 28, Pittsburgh 13. So to open up the fourth quarter, the Steelers would have the ball on their own 14. An incomplete pass would bring out Suisham to attempt the 47-yard field goal. It was up, it was good. And it was now a 12-point game with the score New Orleans 28, Pittsburgh 16. So now the Saints would get the ball on their own 20 with about 15 seconds ticked off the clock in the fourth quarter. And on 2nd and 7 from the 23, Drew Brees hit Hill for a 17-yard pass in the first down at the 40. Brees was then sacked by Whirls for a 7-yard loss. And it was now 2nd and 17 from the 33. There ended up being a pass Drew Brees threw it to Stills for an 18-yard reception. It was called incomplete, but they ended up challenging it, and it was ruled a reception. So now it's first down on the 49 for the Saints as they were in Pittsburgh territory. Then on 3rd and 3 from the Pittsburgh 42, Drew Brees was sacked for a 10-yard loss by Williams, but there was a defensive holding penalty. And so now it was a first down for the Saints on the Pittsburgh 37. And on 2nd and 10 from the 37, Mark Ingram ran it up the middle for 31 yards, and a personal foul against Pittsburgh made it 1st and goal on the 3. Drew Brees then hit Colston for the 3-yard touchdown pass, and was now 35-16, Saints over the Steelers. So now the Steelers would take over with about 10.5 minutes left in this game. They had the ball on their own 20. They would bring it out to midfield, but on 4th and 10 from the 46, they would go for it. They picked up 10 yards, but they brought out the chains, and it ended up being ruled a first down initially, but New Orleans challenged the first down, and it was reversed, and it was actually measured to be just 9 yards off of the review. And so now the Saints would take over after the turnover on downs. And so now the Saints had the ball with about 8 minutes left in the fourth with the ball on their own 45. And after going 3 and out, they would punt it to the Steelers. So now the Steelers got the ball back with about 6 minutes left on the clock as they were now trailing by 19 points. In this game, they had it on their own 5-yard line, and Big Ben hit Wheaton for a 16-yard pass that brought it out to the 21. And then on 2nd and 4 from the 27, Roethlisberger hit Bell for a 6-yard pass on the first down that brought it out to the 33. They were then faced with a 3rd and 20 from the 23, and Roethlisberger hit Wheaton for an 11-yard pass, and a face mask penalty made it a first down at midfield on the Pittsburgh 49 for the Steelers. Then on 2nd and 4 from the New Orleans 45, Big Ben went to Moore. He picked up 9 yards in the first down at the New Orleans 36. Big Ben then went to Brown. He picked up 13 in the first down at the 23. Big Ben's all this out of the no-huddle in the shotgun, then went to Wheaton for a 15-yard pass and was now 1st and goal on the 8. They would end up faced with 3rd and goal from the 4, and Big Ben would hit Antonio Brown for a 4-yard touchdown pass. and they went for the 2-point conversion. Roethlisberger went back to Brown for that as well, and it was successful. And it was now within 11 points with the score: New Orleans 35, Pittsburgh 24. So now the Saints would take over with about 2.5 minutes left in the fourth, and they would end up going 3 and out as the Steelers defense came up with a big stop and gave the ball back to their offense. But with just a minute left on the game clock, they needed 2 scores, and they had to go 98 yards as they were backed up against their own end zone on their own 2-yard line. But on first down, Big Ben went to Le'Veon Bell, and he ran it for 30 yards, and a personal foul against the Saints made a first down at midfield on the Pittsburgh 47 with less than a minute on the clock. Big Ben then went to Bell, and he picked up 14 yards and a first down at the New Orleans 39. Big Ben then, out of the shotgun, no huddle, all this, then went to Bell for a 33-yard pass. It was first a little pass, and Bell ran it, and now it was a 1st and goal on the 6. Roethlisberger ran up, he spiked the ball. An incomplete pass would now end up, though, with a roughing the passer penalty, and it was 1st and goal on the 3. Roethlisberger then passed it to Antonio Brown for a 3-yard touchdown pass. They went for the 2-point conversion. Roethlisberger this time went to Moore, and it was good, and that made it 35-32. But time expired in this game. They actually went for like an onside kick or whatever, but it was over. And so the Saints win with the final score 35, Pittsburgh 32. And with the victory, the Saints are now 5-7, and it looks like they're going to be in first place in the NFC South. But that depends on what happens with the rest of their division's games. But they're 2-4 on the road now. It's their second road victory, and the Steelers now drop to 7-5. They're 4-2 at home. And with the other 2 second-place teams, Baltimore and Cleveland, both losing, they will remain in second place as the Cincinnati won, and they'll remain in first place in the AFC North. So lots of crazy action here, and Drew Brees was 19 for 27. He had 257 passing yards and 5 touchdowns in this game. Ben Roethlisberger was 32 for 58. He had 435 passing yards, 2 touchdowns, and 2 interceptions. And he had 8 yards off of 1 carry. The leading rusher in this game was Mark Ingram. He had 23 carries for 122 yards. Le'Veon Bell had 21 carries for 95 yards and a touchdown. The leading receiver in this game was Kenny Stills for the Saints. He had 5 receptions of 162 yards and a touchdown. The next receiver for the Saints was Toon with 17 yards off of 2 receptions and a touchdown. So friggin' Stills did it all. But Le'Veon Bell, actually, to go along with his 95 yards rushing for the Steelers, he also was the Steelers' leading receiver. He had 159 yards receiving off of 8 receptions. So over 200 total yards for Le'Veon Bell, over 250 total yards for Le'Veon Bell in this game. Antonio Brown had 97 yards off of 8 receptions and 2 touchdowns as well. In the leading tackler in this game, it was a 3-way tie, 2 Saints and 1 Steeler. They all had 10 tackles. David Hawthorne and Curtis Lofton for the Saints each had 10 tackles, and Jason Werles for the Steelers had 10 tackles as well. He also had a sack. That was the lone sack for the Steelers, and the lone sack for the Saints was by Cameron Jordan. Not Jordan Cameron, Cameron Jordan. He had 6 tackles and a sack. And he also had an interception as well, as he came up very clutch for the Saints on defense. And Vaccaro had their other interception, as the Saints had 2 interceptions, the Steelers had none. And the Saints, they started off trailing 6-0, but then they went up 21-6. The Steelers came all the way back to within 3, but time expired. So they ran out of time. They scored actually on the final play. They ended up getting the 2-point conversion. I don't know why even they bothered with time. There was no time. They didn't even kick off. So the final score: New Orleans 35, Pittsburgh 32.